What is up, YouTube? This is Wi-Fi Willie of the Raiders Rundown. I wish we lived in a fantasy world. I wish we lived in a universe where money doesn't matter and we can keep every single player that we've ever drafted and everybody could get a nice check and we all live happily ever after. I wish we lived in that world, but unfortunately, we do not live in that world. And so there are going to be some tough decisions that the Raiders have to make right now. And I got this list over here to my right. We have players that we must re-sign. Now, all of these players, their contract is going to expire by the end of the year. 2022 is their last year, and this is how much they're getting paid in 2022. Big decisions will have to be made in 2023. Right now, the Raiders have about $20 million in cap space, and for next season, they have about $120 million. So you'll have a lot of money to work with, but every single one of these people, in my opinion, are going to cost more money, besides maybe two exceptions. And we're going to break down all these people. We're also going to break down people who are free agents right now, a lot of people who we have to make decisions on, and we're going to give a full scope of everything that's happening with the Raiders and also talk about the latest news with Rich Bisaccia. So let's get right into it right now on the Raiders Rundown. Maxx Crosby. This guy is the AFC Pro Bowl defensive player. He is famous as hell. He's all over TV. After watching that Pro Bowl this past weekend, I was just like, wow, Maxx Crosby is a star. He's bigger than I thought he was. It kind of surprised me because a lot of people don't know players on the Raiders. If you ask fans of East Coast teams, it's hard for them to name certain players, just like it's hard for me to name every single player on the Jets, right? There's just a difference with time zone and your knowledge of certain teams. And it was clear to me when I watched this past Sunday, Maxx Crosby is a star. Maxx Crosby is going to be one of the most famous players in the NFL, one of the more famous ones. He's young. He's on his rookie deal, and this is the last year of his rookie deal, drafted in the 4th round in 2019, $4 million this year. That is a freaking steal, and that is a freaking bargain for somebody of his caliber. He's going to need to get paid. And I'm sorry, everybody, but he's not going to take a team-friendly deal. He is going to get paid Aaron Donald money, Khalil Mack money. Want to know why? Because he puts up more numbers than them. He puts up better numbers. He has had more pressures this year than Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald has the advantage of the refs never throwing a flag when he chokes people and stuff like that. But Crosby doesn't have that advantage. And he's still putting up tons of pressures. You know Crosby gets held all the time too. Put up hella pressures still despite that. So this guy's going to get paid. He's going to get paid around $25 million a year for sure. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but he deserves that. And if the Raiders don't give that to him, he will get that money elsewhere. He will be able to get that money elsewhere, and he should. He should, because he was taken in the 4th round. He's only making $4 million this year. Previous years, if you check out his contract, this dude's only pulling in like $1 million, a little over that. He had a signing bonus that was pretty nice, being a 4th rounder, but really, for how much he has produced, for how many snaps he's played, this guy does not miss games. He plays hurt too, and still balls out. You really can't replace somebody like him. And the Raiders, I know you guys got some cap space, but we got to make a decision. We got to give this guy the bag, and you got to keep in your mind when you're planning for 2023, Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels, you got to allocate money to this guy. And if they don't keep Maxx Crosby, I think this fan base will riot. I think this fan base will not be able to take that. And we're going to get into a little bit of, previous Raiders who didn't get that much money from us when the fans wanted them to. So Jonathan Abram, next name on that list, 1st round pick. We know that 2019, $3.6 million this year. Has struggled 2019. You missed the whole entire year due to an injury. Not entirely your fault, but people think the reckless play style led to injuries for him. And he even saw this happen this past year, man. He actually reeled it in, was a lot more conservative with his tackling this past year, but still got injured towards the end of the year. And it's tricky. We've seen Abram do a lot better in, say, Gus Bradley's scheme compared to Paul Gunther. He is not a versatile safety. This guy needs to be in the box. He arguably needs to be a linebacker / safety hybrid. And I think he will thrive in this new system with Patrick Graham, this 3-3-5 defense, because it really does rely on safeties coming in at linebacker. People like Jabril Peppers doing that. I don't think Abram's going to be a safety who could play the slot, kind of like Logan Ryan. I don't think he can do that. He's shown that he struggles in coverage. Like coverage is the tougher part for him. I think he's good at man, but in deep zone, it's difficult, especially when he's not in the box. We'll see what happens, though. But I expect this guy To get paid more than $3.6 million a year, I think other teams will take him because they will probably use him as just solely a box safety. And there's a lot of schemes that, you can do that. He can go join the Colts and play with Bradley and be in the box if the Raiders don't have any use for him. But I think they will. And ultimately, I think that's like $5 million a year, maybe more. It depends on where he wants to go personally. Here's the thing. With most of these players, you can get paid if you're on a team that's not going to make the Super Bowl. You can take a higher contract for a team that doesn't have a shot. Say you go to the Lions or the Jets. Sorry, Lions and Jets fans, just being real. You can go to one of those teams and get paid a shitload of money, but you're not going to go deep in the playoffs. So you got to make a decision there. And hey, the Raiders are going to have to make a decision with him, and maybe they'll end up paying him money. Who knows? Hunter Renfrow. This guy's in the Pro Bowl, balling out. I mean, I love Hunter Renfrow, man. I was rooting for him to get into the Pro Bowl. I thought he should have been in there instead of Keenan Allen from the get-go. Then he was an alternate. Jamar Chase is going to the Super Bowl, so boom, Renfrow is in the Pro Bowl. And shout out to him. $2.6 million this year. It's his highest amount. I think this guy can get paid serious money. He is a really good slot receiver. We've seen people like Cole Beasley make almost $10 million a year. There's absolutely no reason why Hunter Renfrow can't command that kind of money. And when you saw Max Jones throw to Renfrow, and you go on Twitter, you got all kinds of people saying, ooh, Patriots should make a run at Hunter Renfrow. People want our players. Other teams know this list right here. They know these guys are all on one-year deals, and they want to trade for our players if we're not going to keep them. And all these players, if you're not going to keep them in the future, it would be smart to trade them, because what's the point of them playing just 1 year and being done unless you're making a Super Bowl run? So there's a huge argument to trading a lot of these people. People are going to be after Hunter Renfrow. I hope we keep Hunter Renfrow. I think he's amazing, has great chemistry with Derek Carr, and I really hope we retain him. But I think he could. I think he could get $10 million a year. I mean, just freestyling, Let me know what you guys think. Derek Carr. Now, this is huge, and I know I've been making a lot of Derek Carr videos. First of all, where is Carr? Where is Carr? Where is Derek Carr? He still has not said anything publicly about Josh McDaniels being hired. And I know you guys don't think that's a big deal, but it is. All right. It is when you're on a $19.8 million contract and it's set to expire at the end of this year. They could release him, they could trade him, and there'd be no repercussions as far as dead cap goes. And you're going to have to make a decision on him. Crosby, like I said, $30 million. Renfrow, $10 million. Derek Carr, $35 million, maybe even $40. Just being honest, you're already looking at, $75 million. Then you got $90 million to play with, and you got more people you got to sign. It's going to be intense, and we'll see what happens there. Clelin Ferrell. Now, this guy, 4th overall pick in 2019, probably not going to get re-signed, right? When you're not a starter after being a number 4 overall pick, still a talented player. Don't get me wrong. Clelin Ferrell is a talented player, and I think he could start for other teams. I really do think he could start at defensive end for other teams, but we made a decision to go with Yannick Ngakoue instead of Ferrell last year. And he did not get that many snaps. I know we tried to rotate Nassib and Ferrell in. At the end of the day, not worth that kind of money. Not worth $9 million a year if you're not going to use them. So he's a big trade candidate. I think I would be surprised if he returned to the Raiders, and I definitely think if he did return to the Raiders, it's not going to be for no $9 million a year. I will say that. Trayvon Mullen. I know he was out this whole entire year, but since 2019, when he took over for Garyon Conley, I really liked Mullen in 2019 and 2020. He was our best corner in 2020. Yeah, Hayward came in, and then he was injured. But had we had Mullen, Hobbs, Hayward, I think we would have had one of the best starting, nickel corner tandems in the NFL, really, because Nate Hobbs is so impressive, and so was Casey Hayward. So you got a decision to make there. I definitely think he'll make more than $3 million. He's a proven talent. He comes from a big college, Clemson, and I think a lot of people would like this guy's, his duties on their team. So expect it for him to make maybe $8 million, $7 million a year. Josh Jacobs, this guy also. I'm not going to sit here and say he's Christian McCaffrey, right? I'm not going to sit here and say he's Alvin Kamara, but this guy is a good running back. He is a solid running back in the NFL. When he wants to be, he's a top 10 running back in the NFL. He's hard to take down. He's like a mini, speedy Derrick Henry, although he does lack, I think, receiving skills, and then he does lack speed compared to some of these other guys, right? So I don't know exactly what his future is with the Raiders, $3.7 million a year, first-round pick right now, but I think he could get paid a lot of money. You've seen Dalvin Cook get a really good contract, right? And maybe Jacobs fights for that, and maybe Drake fights for that. Drake getting paid $8 million a year, and I know Mayock and Gruden picked up Drake and signed him to this contract. I always thought it was weird. I was always against it because you already have Jacobs, and running backs, quite frankly, you can find a lot of good ones in free agency, and you see that happen all the time, right? So I always thought this was really weird. I don't think Drake gets an extension with us unless it is less than $8 million a year, especially because he tore, I believe it was his ACL last year and was out for the whole year. So I doubt that happens. We're going to make a decision. It's either going to be Jacobs or Drake, or maybe Josh McDaniels decides to draft some of his own running backs. He's done that historically in New England, and maybe he will decide to not pay the cap for both of these players, which, as it stands right now, it's $11 million this year, but Jacobs will definitely demand a lot of money. I anticipate over $10 million a year. Unique Ngakoue. Now, he has a really weird contract where he got paid $26 million last year, and it was all guaranteed and upfront. So this guy's getting paid like $13 million a year, quite, technically. A lot of it was converted into a bonus. So on the books for cap, he's only $6 million a year this year. And we did do some contract extensions and voided some future years. So technically, he's on the books for future years, but it was just some weird, I would say, restructuring of the contract. So basically this year is his last year. They got to sign an extension because, that's basically how the numbers work out. So you're making a decision on all these players, and Unique Ngakoue, he's going to command close to $13 million a year. That's what he received with the Raiders when he signed for him. He is a popular pass rusher. Now, I think he was disappointing last year, in my opinion. I know he picked up the sacks. Everybody likes the sacks, but I think it really hurt us in the run game, his presence there. And I would have liked to see Farrell a lot more and against teams when we knew they were going to run the football. So I think Unique Ngakoue struggled there. Personally, he has a low PFF grade in that department. So I don't know if we're going to pay him $13 million a year. That's a big decision. Foster Moreau, Denzel Good. I'm going to just lump these two together. Denzel Good, injured for the whole year, was supposed to be a captain on our offensive line. I don't know Josh McDaniels' future and his plans with the offensive line, but maybe we do move on from Denzel Good. Seems likely. I think you could even get rid of him this year with no dead cap penalty. Now, Foster Moreau is interesting because Josh McDaniels, you think Aaron Hernandez, Gronkowski, 2 tight end sets. That's what Gruden's always done, and that's what Josh McDaniels likes to do. So when you have Waller and Moreau, that is so valuable for him. And I am very excited to see what McDaniels does with Moreau this year because Gruden said his prototype was mini Gronkowski. I mean, he looked at him as like a mini Gronkowski. So I'd love to see what they do. And maybe you do extend Moreau. Waller still has a couple years on his contract. I think he's going to need to be restructured because he's only making like $7 million a year. Waller can get $15 million a year from most teams. So I think they're going to have to figure something out there too, especially with his agent. And then what do you do with Moreau? $2.6 million this year. Maybe you pay him $5 million a year, $7 million a year. I think this tight end from LSU can get some cash on the market. So you're going to have to look out for that, especially if you're basically going to have 2 starting tight ends because you're Josh McDaniels. The Raiders and Mark Davis historically have not paid that many players. They don't give them the bag right away. John Gruden shipped away Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack. Amari Cooper is getting $22 million a year this year, and Khalil Mack is getting $26 million a year this year. Mark Davis, quite frankly, said before that he can't really afford, and Gruden kind of said for him, can't afford these big bonuses right away. The only person that Mark Davis has given the bag to has been Derek Carr, like in the past 5 years, quite frankly. So you look at Maxx Crosby at the top there, you look at Hunter Renfrow, you look at Derek Carr, these people are going to command a lot of money. And if you're not comfortable with $26 million a year, $22 million a year, what are you going to be comfortable with today? Inflation, man. Gas prices are going up. So are NFL players. All the prices are going up these days. We got a lot of free agents who are expired right now. We got people who, in the next few weeks, by March, we got to make some decisions and we got to try to extend some of these guys because then they're going to test free agency and the price is going to go up. So Casey Hayward, he was an elite corner for us. I know he came in here for Gus Bradley, only took $2.5 million a year. That's a steal. Zay Jones, decent deal for a number 2 wide receiver, especially that he played most of the year since the rug situation happened. Look, these guys had some cheap deals. We need to maybe extend them. I think you try to retain Zay Jones, familiarity with Derek Carr, especially if you're rolling with Derek Carr, and it might be a bargain. Who knows if everybody's hitting up Zay Jones right now? And he has said himself that he likes playing with the Raiders. Jonathan Hankins, their good nose tackle, $3.5 million. expired now. Same with Solomon Thomas, $2.8 million with a little bit of bonuses there. 4.5 for Nicholas Morrow, really athletic linebacker who was healthy at the end of the year but still did not get a chance to touch the field. Then you got Quentin Jefferson, starting defensive tackle, $3.2 million a year. Darius Philon, $990K. Illuminor, who used to play with the Patriots, $990K. Maybe he could be retained. And Derek Carrier, $1 million this year. We know McDaniels loves his tight ends. The Raiders have always loved Derek Carrier, and Derek Carr likes him as well. So maybe you keep him for a third tight end. Who knows? But a lot of decisions to be made immediately. These are the ones that are less intense. I could see us, to be honest, maybe not giving a deal to any of these guys since these aren't McDaniels guys. And maybe he just lets all these people walk and test free agency. But what's really alarming, in my opinion, is this. All these people on their final year of their contract, all these people who are trade candidates because they're on their final year of their contract, you got to make some decisions there, and we'll see what happens. Shout out to Rich Bisaccia, hired as the Packers special teams coordinator by Matt LaFleur. Ian Rappaport reported that today, this morning. They're going to hire former interim head coach Rich Bisaccia as the new special teams coach. The unit was an issue in Green Bay last year, and Matt LaFleur goes a long way towards fixing it. Bisaccia is universally respected. So shout out to Rich Bisaccia getting that gig and for his services with Raider Nation. Really great, really great guy, and all the players like him. So you got to love that. And you know what? I like that he's a Gruden grinder technically. Sorry. All right. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. This is the Raiders Rundown. Hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like this video if you watched it all the way through, and subscribe to this channel. We go live during breaking news. Ring the bell to get notifications when we got a new video, when we're going live. We're making content pretty much every freaking day, and I hope to see you on the next one. Peace out and have a good one.